Lioness stole newborn puppies, then mother dog came, miracle happens. The sun had barely begun to rise, casting the savannah in a pale golden light. Amidst the stillness of early morning, the air held an uneasy quiet. Something had changed. In a small hidden clearing, a soft rustling disturbed the calm. A lioness, her tawny coat blending with the earth's colors, crouched low to the ground. Her eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the space before her. The early morning breeze carried a scent, familiar yet foreign. It was the scent of newborn puppies, fragile, vulnerable, and unaware of the dangers lurking nearby. The mother dog had carefully hidden her pups in this quiet corner of the savannah, safe from the harsh world beyond. They had just been born, helpless, eyes still closed, small bodies barely able to wriggle in the warmth of the nest she had made. She had chosen this place, away from predators, hoping for a moment of peace. But in the pre-dawn stillness, the lioness had found them. She approached the pups with the grace of a shadow, her paws making no sound on the soft earth. She paused for a long moment, her ears flicking back and forth as she listened to the faint whimpers coming from the nest. Her instincts urged her forward. Hunger gnawed at her belly, and the soft bodies of the puppies were a perfect meal. She crouched low, her belly brushing the cool ground. The lioness reached out with her powerful jaws, lifting the smallest pup gently. She moved with precision, knowing that any misstep could alert the mother. The tiny body dangled from her mouth, helpless and unaware. The lioness pulled it closer, careful not to disturb the rest. The rustling of grass, the faint trembling cries. This was the only sound in the otherwise silent savannah. The lioness, after a careful glance over her shoulder, turned and began to retreat, her movements quick but smooth. She carried the first pup with ease and then another. The two bodies nestled gently between her jaws. They were hers now, the quiet sound of the pup's tiny breaths fading as the lioness disappeared into the tall grasses, leaving the nest empty and silent. Somewhere not too far off, the mother dog stirred. She had been resting under the shade of a distant tree, her body weary after days of caring for her newborns. Her instincts, however, were sharper than any fatigue. Something felt wrong. Her eyes snapped open and her ears stood alert as she scented the air, her nose twitching. The stillness had deepened. The familiar scent of her pups had begun to fade, replaced by the faint trace of something else, something that wasn't hers. With slow movements, the mother dog rose to her feet, her body tense with quiet alarm. She moved cautiously toward the nest, her senses working overtime to discern the faintest sign of her pups. But when she reached the spot, her heart sank. The underbrush where she had left them was now empty. Only the soft imprints in the dirt remained, the smell of their warmth lingering in the air. The mother dog's breath hitched, her eyes scanning the area in increasing panic. She could feel it now, the loss. It wasn't just the silence, it was the absence. The pups were gone. Her heart raced, but instinct took over. She would find them. She had to. The sun climbed higher, casting the savannah in harsh, unforgiving light. It was now mid-morning and the winds had picked up, carrying with them the heavy scent of the wild. The mother dog's paws stirred up the dust beneath her as she moved through the tall grasses, each step a quiet declaration of desperation. Word of the pup's disappearance spread only in the quietest, most subtle ways. The movement of the wind, the shifting of grass, and the silent urgency in the mother's heart. The mother dog moved like a shadow, her eyes scanning every corner of the landscape. The bond between mother and child was something deep, innate, and timeless. She would not give up until her pups were safe again. The savannah seemed vast, endless in its emptiness, yet in her heart the mother knew she was close. There was a faint sound, a small cry carried by the wind, and her ears perked. The air smelled of earth and a strange, unfamiliar scent. She followed it instinctively, each stride firm but measured. The lioness had not strayed far. She had taken refuge beneath the canopy of an acacia tree, the pups now lying in the shadow of her body. The lioness lay still, her chest rising and falling in slow rhythm. The pups, now quiet and still, rested in the shade of her protective stance, unaware of the danger that had come to pass. The mother dog's heart pounded as she drew closer. The landscape around her began to change. Taller grass gave way to a sparse thicket, and in the distance the silhouette of the lioness became visible. The scent of the wild predator hung thick in the air. The lioness was close. Without hesitation, the mother dog quickened her pace, now aware of the challenge that lay ahead. She barked softly, the sound filled with quiet resolve. The lioness's head lifted slowly, her sharp eyes meeting the gaze of the approaching dog. There was no fear in the lioness's stance, only the quiet assurance of one who understood the dance of survival. The air between them thickened. The lioness watched as the mother dog stopped just at the edge of the clearing, her body tense and poised, waiting for the right moment to move. The lioness blinked once, then twice. Her growl was low, barely audible, yet it vibrated through the space between them. The mother dog did not flinch. She continued to stand, her muscles coiled in silent defiance. There was no rush, no frantic panic, only the steady, rhythmic thumping of her heart. Then slowly, ever so slowly, the lioness lowered her head. She did not retreat, but neither did she advance. Her body relaxed just enough to show that she was not a threat, but neither was she ready to relinquish the prize. The mother dog, without taking her eyes off the lioness, stepped forward. Her eyes softened as she inched closer to the pups who lay motionless in the grass. The air was filled with a quiet tension, neither animal moving too quickly, each respecting the other's space. The lioness exhaled softly, her breath a low rumble, and then, impossibly, the lioness took a step back. The mother dog's tail wagged gently, her body language now calm, almost thankful. There was no battle here, only a shared understanding, an unspoken truce between the two mothers. The lioness, with a final glance, turned away and began to retreat, stepping silently into the shadow of the trees, leaving the pups behind. The mother dog moved forward, her body no longer tense but full of quiet relief. She carefully reached the pups and nudged them gently with her nose, as though reminding them that they were safe. They stirred faintly in response, small bodies wriggling closer to her warmth. She lowered herself to the ground, curling around them as if to protect them from any more harm. The lioness watched from a distance as the mother dog returned to her young, then slowly melted back into the wild, a silent guardian watching over the circle of life from afar. The heat of the afternoon hung heavy over the savannah. The mother dog lay with her pups, their tiny bodies curled close to hers, safe and warm. For a brief moment, the savannah seemed still, as if waiting. Then from the edge of the clearing, the lioness appeared again, this time moving slowly, almost gently. The tension from before had faded. She approached the mother dog, who stood tall, watching with steady eyes, no longer fearful but accepting. Without a sound, the lioness lowered her head and nudged one of the pups closer to the mother. A quiet, unspoken gesture of understanding passed between the two mothers. The mother dog, filled with quiet gratitude, gently took her pup back into her care. With a final glance, the lioness turned and disappeared into the grass. The mother dog, her pups now safely gathered, began to walk away. The savannah, bathed in the golden light of evening, seemed to hold its breath. In this rare moment, the wild had shown the softest of miracles, a quiet bond between mothers, understood without words.